All righty. I don't see anybody actively joining, so let's go ahead and get started with Aspen updates in an instant for version 22.12. Hard to believe we're at the last release of the year already, but let's get right into it. All right. So we did have a 22.11.01 that a few partners have received. This was kind of based off if you had some of the issues or if there were things that we needed to deploy in a timely way before 22.12 came out. There's a couple of noticeable or notable updates that I want to point out. As probably everybody knows, Baker & Taylor has been having some issues over the last few weeks or months. We did add a new setting as of just today that is available in 22.11 for whether or not the Content Cafe integration is enabled. We've found that when Baker & Taylor servers are slow, it can lead to some really bad response times within Aspen as we try to load descriptions and table of contents and covers. So there is a brand new integration. If you would like this deployed to production and you use Content Cafe, let us know, and we can certainly deploy that to you, just the 22.11.01. Whoops, no, that's fine. If we go into Content Cafe, we can just uncheck integration enabled and save those changes, and that will turn it off. This is their test server, so we're all fine. And if we do a search for whatever, then it will not be using any of the Content Cafe enrichment. So that should speed things up a little bit and pull all the covers and table of contents and that kind of thing, just using the other backup services that you have. So that's one thing. The other thing we wanted to point out was some of the hold updates. So this is for anybody using volume level holds, especially that are part of a consortium. There is now the ability to sort volumes with local copies first when placing holds. So the idea is to kind of reduce some of the traffic and transits that need to happen for volumes, and also make sure that patrons are getting things as quickly as possible. So that's in library settings and just under show volumes with local copies first when placing holds. So here under holds, there is a show volumes with local copies first when placing holds. So if that's enabled, then when you go to place a hold, so we see here, normally this would be sorted like with all of the disks first and then the blank. But if we place a hold here now, we're going to see that we get, because it's blank, we're showing a star, and then the other volumes that are available from other libraries. There is also an update for the MARC holdings. So now when MARC holdings have an 856 field, then we will try to match that as well and show a link within the MARC holdings table. So just another enhancement to make that work better for people that are using the MARC holdings. It's primarily a Symphony feature, but you can do it within other ILSs as well. One other thing to talk about, we did find an issue where if you're assigning roles based off p-type, and I think there's just a handful of people that are, we were noticing cases where if your patron type changed, the roles wouldn't update, and those will now update properly so that if somebody moves from like staff to a patron or patron to staff, all of those roles will be updated properly. So if you are assigning roles based off p-type, we'd suggest going through and just doing a little audit of all of your administrators, just to make sure that if you've had staff leave and you don't completely remove that card, that you go through and make sure that they no longer have permissions. For 22.12, we've got lots of updates this time again. So Account linking is something that we've been talking about for the last couple of releases. So we've updated so that we're allowed to, we've updated the process for linking and unlinking. So let's just take a look. So we now have the ability to disable account linking. So if a patron does not want to allow account linking, we will be able to say, hey, I'm going to disable all of my account linking. This prevents other people from linking to my account. So if somebody else tries to link to me, they will get a message that says, hey, this other account does not allow linking. I'm going to go ahead and re-enable that. And I'll add an account. I'm going to add Jordan's. So now we've successfully linked our account, and we can see that we're linked. I'm going to switch to her account. So let me sign out and sign back in. So now we can see that we have a proactive message saying, hey, that other accounts have linked to your account. Do you want to continue allowing them to link with a yes or a no? And then you can choose to view more about linked accounts. So if I wasn't sure, I could click on that, which will take me to the linked account page, which gives additional information about who's linking to me, what all they can do, and that kind of thing. So then if I say, yes, sure, we're going to allow them to link, we get the message that that was accepted. And they continue to see that. We could also hit no. If we click remove here or disable account linking, that will break that connection. Let's go ahead and remove that. So because we are allowing PIN changes, because the ILS supports it, we're going to get a message that says that, hey, we suggest changing your PIN because other people do know that. And so let's do, I'm not going to bother to request the PIN change here. It's just going to take us over to the regular reset PIN, but patrons would know that they need to go do that. So let's go ahead and hit close. It updates to say that's not allowed. If I log in again with my Mark account, got two-factor authentication turned on here. So let me get that code. So there we go. And now we get the note that says, hey, the account that you were previously linked to removed that. And then you can get additional information about it. Just close that out. So, and then I could go in and dismiss that. I could disable account linking if I wanted to, or that kind of thing. So we will, Jordan will talk about it later, but we're going to continue some of that work in 2301, but lots of good stuff that we've discussed over the last couple of months there. We also had a request for browse categories. So if we go through, and I'm just going to create a, let's do a search for snow. And I'm going to create a browse category. So we've got some users creating browse categories that are going to be used in the future. Previously, when you created a browse category, it would automatically add it to the homepage for you. So we've now got an option that says, do you want to do that? So that you can say, no, I'm going to add it later. I'm just creating a bunch of holiday categories in whatever March. I could be creating my Christmas browse categories. So I will just add it later. So I'll create that category and then it's not added. Other things, so we talked last time as well about updating some of the account features. So like within Polaris, there is a username that can be set. So right now you can't actually read the username from Polaris. So we've just got a new page that allows you to create or reset your username. So if I wanted to call this like Mark-Bywater, then I can update this username. Oh, that's the same one that I already have. Mark Bywater 2. So we'll update that. And now when we sign out and sign back in, instead of logging in with my barcode, I can log in with Mark Bywater 2 and continue to use the catalog. In kind of that same vein for Symphony libraries, we've had the ability, or we've added the ability to set a preferred name. And this is something, again, we talked about at the gathering last time. So here this user's name is Aspen Test Chestnut. Maybe they want to go by Acorn. So we're going to say our preferred name is Acorn. We're going to update that contact information. That saves it to Symphony and updates the display name to reflect their preferred name. So nice things that we can do to help patrons go by the names they want to. We've also had a request. So we've got a library that does not allow patrons to enter any text within Aspen itself. So we needed the ability to, for lists, be able to turn off the ability to enter list descriptions and notes, and also not be able to enter free-form list names. So we can now say, we're not going to allow list descriptions and notes per title, and we're going to say the only names that people can choose from are my favorites, to read later, and maybe a for class or something. So now if we save that, when we go in and create a list, so and go back to my snow search. And now when I add to list, I'm not prompted for, so existing lists won't get renamed automatically. So if you need us to clear out old lists, we could do that for you. But when I go to create a new list, I will only get the options that are predefined, and I won't get the ability to enter any sort of notes. So if I say I'm going to add this to my favorites, I'm going to create that list. And now when I go to my lists and look at my favorites, I've got that. I also don't have the ability to edit, or when I edit, I only get to choose those three titles, and I don't have the ability to change names. And if I edit an individual one, I don't have the ability to enter any notes. So just ways that we can make sure the patrons aren't entering any data that we don't want. And it also simplifies things. So like for an elementary school or something, you might want to just give them limited options for creating their lists. Last, with web builders, we've added the ability with web builder forms to be able to include introductory text in the email. So we've got a couple of libraries using web builder forms for like user agreements and that kind of thing. And they just want to have kind of a record that, yes, the patron did agree to something. So here we've got a form that just says, hey, part of our makerspace, you have to agree to conditions. And then a checkbox to say they agree in their name. We're going to check the include introductory text in email. So then when we get that email, previously we would just get how they filled out the form. Now we'll get that whole agreement. So like if you need to print it out to say that, yes, somebody has agreed to this, you could. The other update we made for Web Builder was for both the basic and the custom pages. If a patron does not have permissions to view a page, they will get a 401 error instead of they were previously getting, I think, either a 200 or a 404, depending. So just a little bit of cleanup, and there were some people that were using that to be able to kind of detect the next step. So lots of other good release notes. We obviously can't cover everything in this short period of time, so feel free to look through it and pick your favorite. Let us know if you have any questions on anything, and we'll deploy to all servers that are in implementation or that are in test tonight, so that everybody will have that up-to-date information. Then the deploy to production is the evening of the 13th. And then there was a follow-on question about the web builder form. So right now, it is not currently attached to the patron record for access. We have had that request a couple of times. So I imagine that is something that we will be looking at in the future. So if you don't have that prioritized, please prioritize it for us. And that'll be a good thing to do. I'm going to turn it over to Jordan next. So thanks, everyone.